What's going on, guys? It's Bryan here with Business After Dark, and the business we are going to be speaking about today is Rockwell Talent. I have Hector ZEA here, which originally was, if not the first, one of the first DJs on Rockwell Talent, and has now transitioned in being a partner on the business side of things. So we thought it'd be great to have a conversation about both sides of the equation and see what it's been like involved in the business side of Rockwell. So, ZEA, if what are your experiences as on the business side, and how does that translate to what you thought Rockwell was being on the DJ side?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, bro. It's a great spot you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think I started as a DJ. I started as a DJ before, but then we came together for Rockwell Talent in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And since that beginning of that, I was always primarily DJ. But then I was always working with you, and your staff at the time has changed throughout the years. But I was working in some capacity as helping with either social media, graphic design. Little things I could help with, just because, I already had that background. So, it made sense to also try to help in that way to make the agency better. But then, I guess I think it was around 2020, I was kind of already having that shift of mindset from a DJ to like, okay, what else can I do? Where do I see myself like bringing value, or, where do I fit in just more than a DJ? And obviously, one of the things that came into my mind was, being a bigger part of Rockwell. Since I was already kind of doing it, I felt like I had already, I've acquired experience working with you guys in the business side of it, but I wasn't fully committed because I was fully committed as a DJ. So I was realizing I wanted to just, do more than just DJing. So obviously the thing that came to mind right away was Rockwell Talent. How could I provide more value? How could I help the company actually, being more invested in it, not just as a DJ? And at the time it was also COVID. So that was a big factor that led me to that thought process. And it's just something that I think was always kind of in my brain, and especially at that time of okay, I want to do more than just DJ. And where is somewhere that I could not only grow but learn, because to be honest, at that time my business savvy or experience or education was very rocky. I had a
very rocky.
Plug. I didn't have any experience. I was learning through other ventures or other relationships, and I knew you had been in business for a long time with Rockwell and other things you were going. So I was like, okay, it would make sense. And I think I hit you up to set up a meeting, and I said, look, this is what I'm thinking. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know what we could do, but I think, it could work. And you, for some reason, agreed.
Well, I think, what was it? Timing, hard work, and
luck.
And luck. Okay. So I think naturally, the decision was agreed on or made first and foremost because I knew that the hard work, was something that I wasn't going to have to chase. In business, I think, surrounding yourself with people that are accountable is a must if the business is growing. If the business is already at a size that it just needs management, then it's kind of different, right? Because you can just have effective managers, make sure people do their jobs. But if you're trying to grow a platform, a brand, and a company, the whole point of bringing people on and involving people is so that you can free up some of your own time to do the things that you haven't been able to get to. So if you don't have someone accountable around you, it's like, well, I just brought on another headache or another thing that I have to stay on top of. So first and foremost, I think the hard work made the decision easy. The second thing was timing. I think COVID made the decision possible, right? Although I had been in business and owned my own businesses since 2009, I really didn't know anything about evaluations or what is Rockwell worth or how much do I give, how much do I take, right? So it was a little bit of it would have been scary to have those decisions if it wasn't 2020 and COVID had happened, because we were at zero as a company, right? So when the company was restarting and I'm looking at zero income, zero clients, zero anything, it did make the decision a little better as saying like, all right, now I have somebody, in the corner, not that you weren't in the corner before, but like invested in the corner, that could help get this to whatever it will become post-COVID, right? Looking back at it, it's like, yeah, we were just waiting to get back in business. But at the time, we were wondering, will there be a business again, right? So we started having some different conversations on like, what can we do with Rockwell that isn't just manage DJs? So indirectly, I think we are where we're at today because that timing allowed us to be a little more creative or free with what our direction and vision was or is, right? Or what could be back then. And then the last one, like always, Zea has a big influx of this in his corner sometimes, is luck. I think there was a little bit of luck in the situation that when COVID happened, yeah, the business was at zero, but we also didn't, have an identity. Like, did we manage DJs if DJs weren't going to be a thing next week, right? So there was a little bit of that luck that the timing provided, that made it just make sense, right? It's not something that I had to make a decision left or right. It was like okay, well, it's a no-brainer. We have to go right. Just like, how hard do we turn, right? And before we go deeper in the business side of things, I think one of the first questions I want to ask personally is maybe on a perspective switch or shift, or what shifted your, if any, your perspective coming from a DJ to now a partner on this business. What does that, look like mentally, right? Like, I know the conversations you and I have had offline, but what is, DJ ZEA versus Hector ZEA? Like, what did you think versus what you think, or what did, vice versa, right? Like, what has been that deciding difference between you being involved with the company as a DJ and you being involved in the company on the business side of things?
I think the more and more that I was pushing myself to like be a better DJ and build my own brand, and even also helping with Rockwell, I started to notice that like the thing I was like more passionate about was like the building, the creating, the like, oh, how can we get this better, or how could I make this better, or making my own logos, the email marketing, like creating this plan to like look dope. But then and then I would see it work, because then we'd reach out here and then they'd be down to book me, or I'd get this gig because of this, and then da. But the gig never like satisfied me. Like, I wasn't, the end goal, the end result wasn't like the payoff. Like, yeah, I got that booking in Vegas, or I got this thing in Miami that I was like looking forward to. And then I was starting, like, during COVID, I started thinking more. And I was like, oh, I do this for other people indirectly, and I don't even know I'm doing it. I'm just like, talking to them and helping them and guiding them. Like, imagine if I like sat down with a plan and like we came together and like I could do this for other DJs and whatever else we decided at the time we were going to work on. Like, I can do these things that I've somehow through years of luck and hard work gained experience in. So that's how my mind shift kind of shifted. And also looking at it as a business, I was like, I can only do it so much for myself. And like, even if I fucking knock it out the park and blow up, like, I'm still one person.
You're still 365 gigs.
300, like,
capped out.
There's a cap somewhere. There's a ceiling somewhere. But like, what if we focus our attention on doing it for everyone? Then like, yeah, maybe some people hit ceilings or caps, but then we have multiple Zeas.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of it like, how do I scale myself in like this little DJ world bubble thing? And I think like also the opportunity of like, we were always kind of I mean, you could say like the underdog
Sure.
when in DJ game or nightlife. So like we had to like scrap and like fight for everything we got, and those like lessons and shit that we learned, like it taught me like, oh, imagine like if we applied it as a business, and like imagine if we had like people that aren't ZEA that are actually like, not that I was a bad DJ, but like like fucking super dope DJs and like super passionate about what they're doing and like willing to do things, and like then we can like, you know, really make this into a business, and you know, who knows who else we could quote unquote manage or help or service. So I think that was the mindset of like, how can I do this, and also like, you know, long term, like I know DJs always say like, oh yeah, I see myself at 35, then it moves 40,
Sure,
45,
sure.
whatever. I genuinely was like, nah, I'm not like, not because of anything about DJing or like it's whack. Just like I personally didn't see myself DJing that long. So, but I loved like that game of like, how do we get that fucking new venue that just opened, or how do we like target this person, or like how do we make the Instagram look like this so then people blah 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 blah. So like that was the shit that was interesting me. And then yeah, like you said, COVID, timing, luck, all that. Like
You mentioned, well, recapping. You mentioned what you like about the business side is the fact that there is no end goal. You're almost always creating and improving and getting things closer to the finish line. But in any business and any entrepreneur mindset, that finish line always moves, right? And it's something that I've come to understand in my own personal life because I never realized that growing up. I've been this way since I was literally a little kid. Kindergarten, I would ask my grandmother to make more chicken nuggets because they were so good. And you know, like you tell a Cuban grandmother that, like forget it. And the truth was I was selling them for 25 cents each to classmates because it was better than the lunch food in our middle school, right? So, and this is literally kindergarten. I can tell you who my list of clients were. And if you ask them to this day, they remember asking their mom for 50, 75 cents to buy chicken nuggets from Bryan. Yeah, 100%. Shout out Marcel Travieso and a couple other homies from St. Peter and Paul. But what I wanted to ask was, what is it that you liked about being a DJ before realizing, you know, that 2020 aha, right? Because I believe I met you closer to like 2006 and you were already a DJ, right? So from 2006 to 2020, what was that like that kept you in the game, right?
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a DJ in 2006. I just had equipment.
You had equipment and some needles.
I was throwing shit together. Nah, I think at the beginning it's like everything else. You just fucking fall in love with it. You become obsessed, and then you start gaining some sort of success. You start like growing, and you're like, oh, I could really do this. And then I think like I was saying, like the game, the chase, just is what became addicting. But like I realized that later. I thought it was like the actual love for DJing, which there was love for DJing, but like.
Do you think it was DJing or music? What was your first love?
Nah, DJing.
For
like,
sure, right?
I don't have that like typical, oh, my parents used to like, nah. Like, I mean, I love music and I always listen to it, but like, I wasn't like, oh, like I want to play that. Like, that's why also I think it is something that like helped me in the long run is because I was super objective to music. Like, I'm not one of those like, oh, I can't play this anymore, or like, this is whack, but I'm not going to play it or whatever. Like, I don't care. It's music. Like, it's making you move, it's making someone move. Like, that's cool. So I was never really like a super musically influenced kid. It was just like I was like more geeked out about DJing and like the technical and like how do you mix this to that and like even the equipment and like all that stuff. So which I think carried me a long way. Like I said with the music, like I wasn't really caring about the music. I was caring about like how to get the next gig, which is really like the business of DJing. Like I was more interested of like how do I connect with this person to like build a relationship? How do I advertise myself to like get booked a certain way? How do I put out a mix so like the right person hears it and like they understand my brand? So it was like those things that I didn't know at the time, but like that's what I was interested in. So it was like every year I was like leveling up on like, all right, how do I figure that out? How do I get here? How do I get there? Okay, move to Vegas. Now, like, I get here, and, like, how do I get in there? And, like, but like you said, the finish line keeps moving, and then you get older, and you're like, bro, I'm, like, playing this, like, the analogy you always use, like, I'm playing basketball on the wrong court, and, like, then I'm like wondering why I'm so pissed and want to take my ball out.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't matter if I fucking become Tiesto or whoever. It's like, that's not the game I'm really trying to play.
Or that's the game you're playing, but it's not the game you're actually trying to win.
Exactly. So it's like, even when you win, you're like, I lost. Like, what's happening?
In your opinion, do you think, or in your opinion, what we change as humans, right? I think, I don't know, I'm not big into this whole thing. I think every 7 years your cells change, whatever.
Sure.
Do you, what is your opinion of the DJ game? Let's put time to it, right? From 2006 to 2024, in your opinion, have things changed root cause, right? Like obviously technology's changed, music's changed, venues changed, but the game of DJing, in your opinion, is that something that still kind of has the same DNA and 16-year-old Hector would still find, attractive today? Or in your opinion, has the overall craft and career path of a DJ changed? And if it has changed, for better or for worse, and why?
Great question, bro.
No, I came prepared.
I think that also had a factor of like me seeing how the game was changing, because during that period that I was like obsessed with it, I was also like, the scene was different, at least for me. Like the open format game, like the DJs at the top were like people I looked up to, and like everyone was traveling, and it was just like that, that whole AM era of DJs that came after him, and like the swag, and like, even the agencies, like Scam was like a big thing looking back at it for us. Like how we were like, oh, we wanted to get there, like how are they doing it, like all the DJs, their videos, like, so it was like really cool back then. And like everything else, like it was a harder barrier of entry. So like if you were like really doing it for like a long time, you were really doing it. Right. Like it wasn't like the controller thing and like you could just download music. So it was like,
it's something you actually had to learn.
Yeah.
You couldn't just start doing it.
Yeah. And it was like people were getting booked on merit, relationship, like, everything is politics as well at the end of the day. But it was like, okay, like this kid's dope. He has potential, or I fuck with him. Like I want to give him a shot. There was a lot of that. And I think that was something, and just like, even in the beginning, like traveling to cities that were like paying me fucking a burrito and bag of chips, I was doing it happily. Like it was super dope to like just be in another city to DJ. That was like crazy to me. Like I didn't even care what the fucking circumstances were, which were terrible looking back.
Most of the time were terrible.
But like that's shit you would do because you loved it. But yeah, then the game was starting to change. It was becoming a little more political. Just the business of it, like a lot of clubs were closing down, and it was becoming more of a business and more of like, and I'm sure you could attest to it more, but like, okay, like we just care about the DJ, but not of their brand so much. Like more of, at least now I feel like it's more of who can keep the people there. Like we don't care if your social media is dope or sucks. It's like, who are you as a DJ? For like, those type of venues, the working class, like the open format style.
Which is the majority of them nowadays, right? I think the nightclub scene has pulled back a little bit, and that regular open format fun spot became more popular to the consumer. So by default, less people want to go to a nightclub, less nightclubs can exist, right? So they close down, and then more people want to go to Wood Tavern and buy $7 beers with a shot, then more places open that could afford to do $7 beer and a shot, right? So I think especially in Miami, the clientele kind of dictated that, right? Not so much the people that were actually in the actual industry, because I can name, numerous nightclub owners that now own more of like the other style spot, right? So they're still in the business, but they've changed their business just like the clientele has changed their desire to want to go to places.
Yeah, and for me, I think that had a big factor, because I was, a lot of DJs. I mean, I like to play anywhere, like anywhere that appreciates me and that is fun. But I did actually genuinely like nightclubs,
right?
Because I like the big spectacular, like, yo, I'm in a fucking movie, like there's 1,000 people, like the show.
You're not in a movie, you're the movie.
Yeah, like and I like that whole, like, and especially in Miami, like over the top, like, yo, like it's just a party. Like I like that nightclub thing. And not even to party, just like because it felt like grand to me. Like I'm in the middle of this whole shit and I'm just like chilling.
Yeah, Mansion nightclub to me always felt like you were inside of like a new city. Like you left Miami
Yeah.
Beach and you went into Mansion Beach, and it's like it has its own zip code and it has its own ecosystem and its own way of life and its own rules and its own
Yeah, and even just driving there is like I was going somewhere else, even though it was like 20 minutes away.
Right.
But I was like, oh, I'm going to the beach. Here we go. It's gonna be a crazy night. So like I like that shit. And then being in Vegas, like the One Oaks, the Light, like all those fucking mega clubs, like I like that shit. But it was like I was starting to see the trend of like, okay, but maybe this isn't sustainable.
Sure.
Even and then also sustainable personally, like. I like DJing in these environments, but like the aftermath of
not
it
7 days a week
is not so healthy for me. So yeah, I think it was a lot of growing up and also the game changing and just seeing it from a different lens.
For better or for worse?
I think it's
depends who's looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's subjective, it's perspective. It also depends the market, but I think that I think DJing overall might be in a better place because it also COVID and the way the game changed weeded out a lot of DJs.
Yep.
For on purpose or not on purpose, but like I'm not DJing as much, so like there is technically other DJs getting booked because like certain people are out of the game or not traveling here or decided, hey, I don't want to travel anymore. I realize I just want to stay in my city, or vice versa. Like fuck this city, I only want to travel.
Right.
But now there's like the real people that are DJing, and I think there's a lot of also people either were forced to or realized like oh, I can't just DJ because like a pandemic could happen.
Right.
So like there was a lot before of like, oh, all I do is DJ. Now I think more people, and it's not even a knock. It's like people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like you should have a day job or something else you do, a side hustle or whatever.
Yeah, not necessarily a day job, but just something that feeds your passions in a different light than starting at 10 p.m.
Right. So I think it kind of not even the playing field, but kind of like had a little hard reset. So the guys that like stayed consistent, stayed out there and like did what they did and didn't like, I guess, get out of the game or switch whatever, they're seeing the benefits now and they're still in it and they got better and now they're climbing up. And there's more opportunity, I feel like, for DJs now, because now there's that whole like social media controller DJ that like was like super popular a couple of years ago and like anyone could just get in. It's still there, but like it's not as prevalent and like
it's been seen before.
And it comes and goes. Like you got to be a solid, reliable, good DJ now. So I think it's for the better.
Before we keep diving into the business side of things, and next, I want to touch on that word you said, because growing up, my God, I felt like if you worked in nightlife, it was almost like the law of the land. It was something that you kind of navigated by. It was politics, right? So we'll definitely go on that. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask my last, I guess, Hector ZEA question would be in regards to ZEA as a human, right? As not as a DJ or as a figure, as just, a human. Did you feel like what you were doing, we could just put a marker of like pre-COVID, I guess. Did it align with like your personal values? And if so, has that changed? And is it because your values have changed, or is it because your environment has changed? Or, how does that look like when you're looking in the mirror in the morning, brushing your teeth, right? When it's just Hector ZEA, what are those personal values that you live by, your moral compass? And did it always align with what you were doing on the DJ ZEA side of things?
These are hard-hitting questions, bro. No, it definitely didn't always align. And I think that was the problem, that in the beginning, for sure, because I loved to be in the party atmosphere. I loved drinking. I loved like hanging out all the way late night, eating after. Like that was my lifestyle. But I think I got older and I realized, I've said this before, but like I was almost really good at playing like Robert De Niro. I was the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude.
Got it.
Like I just became really good at being a DJ, but but like I wasn't really a DJ, but like I played the part very well. And I'm not talking about actual DJing, like going out, networking, sitting at a table, drinking shots, hosting people,
being present,
like just fucking doing everything and anything, like doing the edits, linking with this, like having a mix show, like blah 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 blah. That, like I always say, I got lost in the sauce. And then I started, and then like you said, you grow up and your values change and your thinking changes, and then circumstances change. And I think a lot of things started to line up in my life where I was like, okay, if I keep going down this road, then the way I really want to live is for me personally going to be impossible doing this like this. So I either got to change it or figure out another path or figure out another system. So I think that thought process is what led me to like, okay, like what are my I wasn't even thinking about that before. Like what are my values? Like what do I align for? Like I started, being more aware of my health and my mental, and like I was always a healthy, fit person, but like I kind of lost that, and I was like, nah, like that's fucking important to me. Like I've always loved doing that shit, and I'm kind of like slacking on it because I'm thinking like, oh, it's not that important, but it is important. So I think all those factors of
it's important to Hector ZEA. It's not that important to DJ ZEA.
Exactly. And even then, actually, you could argue that like if you want to be a better brand and get booked, like you should be more healthy, more fit, more, attractive, sure, quote unquote. But yeah, and then moving back to Miami, not meeting my wife, I had met her a long time ago, but that whole relationship and just then you start thinking family, kids, long term, and you're like, bro, like, and the thing is, for better or for worse, I've seen a lot of stories play out. Mm-hmm. And I've seen how things can end up if, you don't take care of yourself or you just keep living this life, which is for some people, but it took me a long time to realize like it's not for me. And then this is also what took me a long time to realize that it has nothing to do with DJing. Like I'm not knocking DJing or the lifestyle or whatever. It was me that was like, oh, because I'm a DJ, this is how it is. Or like, so like I had to like change my mindset about DJing and like, oh, it doesn't have to be that. You just think it's that because like you're seeing that, but it's really not. It's whatever you want it the fuck to be. Like you want to DJ once a month or never or whatever, then that's DJing to you.
Sure. So
it's like you said.
Yeah, because I guess by, indirectly, if they ask, can you DJ? The answer is still yes, right? Whether you're DJing at a spot or not, right? So can you DJ? Yes. Are you still a DJ? Yes. Are you actively a DJ? No, I'm not working right now, right? So it kind of...
And actually one thing that I still remember that someone said, actually DJ EFN, we interviewed him one time on MIA radio, and he said, and he's a longtime DJ, he's a legend in Miami, but he doesn't DJ. And I don't know, we asked him a question or something, but he said like, you'll never take the DJ out of my name. Like I earned that. Just because I don't DJ doesn't mean that like I can't represent that or that I'm not a DJ.
Or you're not part of that community.
Exactly. And everything that I'm doing today and that I have and that like we're building, that I'm building is because of DJing. So like I'll never, not be a DJ because like I owe DJing a lot. Like it's still paying off things, like it's paid off on things that like I didn't even know were possible until now. But
now you're using them and you're like, where did I learn this? Oh, yeah, that's right.
So like, and then that's also like, because of that is why I also respect it of like, I'm not just gonna be working 4 times a week because I can
or I have to.
So I'm gonna respect the game and be like, yo, I'm only gonna show up and DJ when like I'm fucking hype about it and when like, you want to. When I want to. Because I didn't want to be that guy that's at that place fucking miserable, counting down the hours. So when I started like becoming that, I was like, nah, something's wrong.
Yeah. So to recap and tie up the original question of what it is, what I took, right, was from inception to 2020, you felt like the finish line was moving forward and you were okay with chasing that finish line and the new finish lines beyond that. But it got to a certain point where you couldn't see the finish line and you didn't know what you were racing for. And I guess that would be the definition of getting lost in the sauce, right?
Yeah.
Where you don't, you're just waking up, putting your shoes on and going for a run, but you don't know why you're running or where you're running to. And then when you come to light, AKA when you're exhausted, you look around and you're like, the fuck am I doing, right? So you had one of those what the fuck am I doing moments, and then it just so happened that the world shut down to allow you to ask yourself again, what the fuck am I doing, right? Would that be kind of accurate?
I'm gonna clip that, so whenever
someone asks you,
yo, don't get lost in the sauce, like that's what I mean.
No, noun. You put the definition.
Literally.
So, all right, I think what you were touching on right now is a perfect transition, and I'll explain why, into kind of what Rockwell is today. But I don't want to jump right into that. But I wanted to carry the momentum of it. So you were speaking about that crossroads where you as a human and you as a DJ and the values and the culture and the way of life and everything that comes with it kind of, intersected and made this whole finding of yourself situation, which is, I think, exactly what we're trying to provide for everyone now, right? Switching from a management company that only focuses on exclusive talent and transitioning that to an agency that now services all sides of the table, whether it's a talent buyer, a venue, a client, a DJ, and kind of just building the bridge. But so before we dive into that and really start breaking down, I guess, what is it that we're doing and why we're doing it, and this is cool because we have individual conversations about this, but I don't think we've ever even had a macro convo about it. But I did want to circle back to that politics thing because I think it has a lot to do with the negative things that people say about the industry in general, about people in general sometimes, about scenarios. And if you don't understand what someone means when they say hey, bro, you got to play politics, then I feel like you're in a huge disadvantage in this industry, right? So if this is about providing value and paying it forward, I think we're responsible to kind of touch on that. So to you, what is politics? What is when a DJ, and every DJ has heard this, right? Oh, bro, you can't play there, man, because that spot's all politics. What is that, right? And we're not talking about the DJ politic, right? So what is that?
Like Pitbull says, it's politics.
There you go.
Dial it. I mean, politics is politics, literally, and that's not just in DJing. That's literally in everything, life, business, like going or make your order at the fucking Pollo Tropical. Like, there's politics involved. But I think it's plain.
You get one sauce or two sauces. Your politics will decide.
Literally, like if you've been there and rubbed a couple elbows, shaked a couple hands, you're gonna get the extra sauces.
Yep.
And I mean, that's literally it. It's like playing the game, and that's what I got really good at. Like, it's really like psychology, bro. It's like knowing people, knowing how to like interact with people, knowing how certain people react to certain things, knowing how you can bring value to someone and not ask for anything in return. And then there's the other side of politics that's like someone might not like you, so like you're not gonna play there because like they just don't like you, bro. They woke up that day and that morning and decided like, I don't like this guy's face.
You're not the one.
I don't like his glasses that he's wearing during the day. And that's it, bro. He's not getting booked. Or, a lot of times it's like, it's personal. It's like you did something wrong to somebody else and they heard, whether it's right or wrong, but they're not going to fuck with you. Or you messed with someone's girl and they heard and like, oh, well, yeah, I don't care. He's not getting booked. Or there's a lot of factors, but I think the politics is that. It's the game. It's the house of cards. It's like, how can you, and that took a long time to learn too. Like, because in the beginning when you're young, you're like, yeah, let's play politics.
Right.
And
this is exactly where I'm going. So go
yeah,
ahead.
like you're like, yo, what's up, bro? Nice to meet you last night and talk for 2 minutes. Like, can I get booked?
My brother.
Yeah.
My brother. How are you, my brother?
Yeah, and bro, there's some.
What's your name again? My brother.
There's some interactions and scenarios that I still have imprinted in my brain that I'm like, bro, I was crazy. Like, how can I just hit somebody up like that or like think that's okay, or like talk like that, or like, so it's like learning, like, okay, like not everyone's gonna be your cup of tea or you're gonna be their cup of tea, but like, like in business, finding a mutual ground where like I honestly feel like I could be a good fit and help you, and I think you would benefit from having me. So like, how can we make that work in like a non-sleazy, salesy way, and also building genuine relationships, which is that's something that like I had to figure out of like, this is gonna go a lot easier if I actually want to build a relationship
Right.
with this person, because then I'm like, okay, like I'll just be your friend, and then down the line we'll help each other because we're friends, not because like you owe me or I owe you. It's just gonna be like a payback of karma from like, yo, I actually like you, so like if something comes up, I'll think of you. And
Right.
I think that was a lot of my career. Like I just was like, yo, you got to play the politics, but like I want to play it with people that I like. So then, I think that trickled down of like people just thought of me because they're like, okay, like this guy's not a piece of shit and he's like a pretty good DJ. So like, let's try him out. Or like, yo, here's an opportunity. Like, I'm gonna give you the alley oop, but you got to dunk it. So I think it's a lot of those situations, like just learning when to like pass the ball, not shoot, give an alley oop. Don't.
You could be on the court, but you don't got to play every game.
Or let me sit this one out. Let me wait a little bit, then get on the court. So like, it's politics.
It's all one. So I'll unpack something. I guess what I feel about politics. I've always been involved in nightlife, but predominantly on the business side, right? And then Rockwell was my first care more about the DJ than the night or the guest list or the team of promoters or, getting billed correctly or, all the other business things on the back end. And so I want to ask if you would agree in some of this verbal diarrhea that's going to come out of my brain right now when I think of the word politics. I feel like nightlife in general, but more so DJ, oriented, the conversation more towards the DJs, and not just the DJs, but basically any entertainment, right? It doesn't have to be the DJ, but the dancers, the DJs, even to an extent of the bartenders, right? It's part service, but it's also kind of part entertainment, right? I feel like it's not the same in under other businesses, but it is the same. And it's based off of the creative not really knowing how do other people play politics in business, right? Like, how do I approach this situation as a business, not as a DJ with a perspective on the situation, right? And I'll give you an example. I'm DJ A, and I hope there's no DJs out there. I'm not talking about you, but I'm DJ insert name here. I want to play at that venue. I'm not getting booked by that venue. I hear a lot of DJs with the mindset of, oh, fuck that place, bro. Like, they don't know what they're missing out on. Or, oh, what the fuck? I don't understand why they're not booking me. I'm better than the guy they're booking, right? And these are all things I'm sure you've heard even more than me because DJs talk to you as a DJ and DJs talk to me as the business side. You think that's caused by not having the perspective to look at it the other way, where it's like, why is that guy playing there and not me? What added value is that guy providing that I'm not? And what can I do different to get the opportunity to be of a bigger value than that guy, right? Because I don't hear DJs asking that question very often. It's more of a, look at me, poor me, what the fuck, I deserve the gig. And it's not like, okay, well, maybe you don't think I deserve the gig. I don't agree with it, but that's fair. What can I possibly do to deserve the gig in your eyes? Does that sound like maybe some, what's the word I'm looking for? Dichotomy situations in your career path that you've felt as a DJ?
Yes and no, but I think the answer is yes and no, because for sure that goes on all the time, but that's more like that happen. Like,
why does that go on? I think is the root of the question. Like,
no, but you said like the example of wealth management that goes on there. It's like someone's insecure. Someone has some like sort of complex where they're like, why did that guy get the promotion and not me? Why did that guy whatever? And I think in every industry it's the same shit. It's like, are you looking back and analyzing like, okay, well, they're like family. He's a little related because he married the daughter of the whatever. So,
do you feel nightlife is unmeasurable?
the thing is,
Because the wealth manager can say, hey, I got, $2.7 million more than you in my portfolio. Fuck you.
Yeah.
The DJ's like, I'm better. How do you measure that?
But the second part is that, like you said, it's because it's a creative thing and like it's objective. And then on top of that, it's in an industry where like it's not like wealth management where like there are uncertain written rules or like you can measure things. This fucking shit is ruthless and like anyone will step on your toes or like cut your throat.
Face. Yeah.
It's more like actual politics. Like
Right.
like people in the Senate.
We're actually
and like,
politicians.
Yeah, like for real, like cutthroat, like tell you one thing one day and then they're passing the bill underneath the table the other day and like they're making deals on the other side or whatever. So like it's more actual politics. But yeah, I think it has to do with that it's like in every creative field, it's like even as a graphic designer or anything, you see someone's work and you're like,
right.
like what? That doesn't make sense. Why did that guy get picked to do that ad? Like that, I don't understand. But it's like I always in the beginning for sure. Everyone I think goes through that, but then you gotta like sit back and like I like to analyze every situation, and you learn that with time. It's like why.
Right.
And then from the why is not like why not me? Like why
them?
Yeah, like why them? So that I can maybe do that or know, oh, like that's why that's not gonna work out in 3 months.
Right.
Like that's okay. Like and then you don't even really feel bad about it. You're like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, he had that relationship before or whatever. Or like, damn, that guy did that instead of doing that. That makes sense. Like, let me do that next time. So you just learn from it, but nightlife is just crazy. So
is relationships more important or less important today than 10 years ago?
Relationships are always going to be
for sure, but important. More or less?
I think personally,
when it comes to getting booked,
yeah, I think it's 50-50, bro. I think maybe in the past it was more important, but I think of course if you have a relationship, like that's always going to help you. But now I think more than ever, like which is good for DJs. Like your skill has to like, you got to back up your talk and like your relationship. Like,
I think there's two reasons for that. Number one is the sets have gotten longer. So you can't suck for 5 hours. You can suck for 60 minutes, especially at the peak of the night, people are drunk. Like you might not get noticed, but if you're playing 5 hours and you suck, people are going to notice and they're not staying all 5 hours. Right. So I think that's one thing that really helped better DJs stand out. And the second thing I think is there's more spots open, so there's more choices. So back in the day when there was 3 options, yeah, fuck you, he's my nephew, he's gonna DJ. Because it's gonna be slammed and you're gonna make your money anyways.
Right.
But now I've even heard, even recently, like, yeah, we've been using my buddy to DJ and he gives me a great price, but our Fridays are really going to shit. So I'm gonna like look out for him and I'll hook him up as my friend, but I need a DJ, right? And I think post-COVID, it allowed DJs to go back to being a form of talent. Like you can't just be a DJ. You have to be a good DJ now again.
Yeah.
Thank God, I think, in a certain extent, right?
No, and even for like big ticket acts, like I mean, there's still like the Tiestos and Afrojacks and Diplos that like they're going to kill it no matter what. But like that whole like, oh, let's bring in this guy because it's gonna bring in people, and then like it'll be rocking. Like that's kind of gone away. Where like nah, like we need a DJ that's gonna keep people here,
right?
And like no matter what, those big names are gonna keep people here because they're paying to see them. But like even those mega nightclubs, like even if it's an open format DJ, like they want someone that's gonna keep people dancing for 4 hours, even if it's like a super club or whatever.
What are I won't put a number, but what are check boxes that a DJ need to check off in 2024?
Damn, free game, dude.
All about it. I have 3 in my head that are
number
important.
1 is always be a good DJ.
Okay. Is that more important than being a good person?
That was going to be my next one.
Okay.
They're not in order, but be a good person that like people actually want you around, want to work with you, like you, like that. I mean, that's gonna get you far in anything, like just being a good person, because people are naturally attracted to that. Being reliable, that's always reliable and professional. Like when people know they can count on you for anything, like they're more likely to hit you up. And the last one is, I guess, your brand, like having your brand the most on point with whatever it is you're trying to portray or get booked or whatever, like working hard towards making that apparent to people.
Yeah, I would say my three would be a good person first, because if you're not a good person, I don't want to deal with you, and I don't care how good of a DJ you are. If you're not a good person, you better have a really good manager that like people want to deal with him, right, or her. So first would be a good person. Second would be professional, because you could be a great DJ, but if you're always 15 minutes late, I don't care how good you are, I'm not going to book you, right? And then third is be a good DJ. And when I say be a good DJ, in 2024, I think I cover everything that you say, right? Be a good DJ is being a good brand, being a good song selector, being a good mixer, being a good, presence, right? There's DJs that do an amazing job, have an amazing brand, but if you look dead in the booth and you don't have that energy, the venue might not want you back strictly on that, right? So I think being a good DJ requires more things in 2024 than in like 2001, but it requires less things than like 2013. Because in 2013, I feel like you had to actually, like if you didn't play the game, you were not in the game. Nowadays, you can choose to not play the game and still have a loaded calendar with great clients and, do your thing. You might not grow as fast, but if you're a good person, you're reliable and professional, and you're a good DJ, you're going to be working in 2024. In 2013, I feel like some of those were getting, overlooked. And every once in a while, we would find a gem and be like, dude, why aren't you playing anywhere, right? And it's like, well, because no one books me. Well, oh, shit. So I think there's a connection now that there was a disconnect caused by it being connected, if that made sense. But all right, so diving into the business of the day, we touched a lot on Rockwell. We touched a lot about your part within Rockwell, especially DJ ZEA and as a partner post 2020. I think I could start it off with a very open question, and I wanna navigate this in a certain way where I can get certain answers, and the listeners can get certain value, and we can maybe even get some explanation on what it is we're doing that most people don't know. So hopefully we can achieve all three here. But what is Rockwell Talent to you? 2024. Or better said, I guess, is 2022 and a half, right? Because I think that's when the transition of the company started. But what is it today to you, right? Because what it is to you and what it is to me, they're probably going to be aligned, but they might not be the same thing.
Totally different.
Yeah. So
I think if I had to put it into words, Rockwell, like Roby says, I'm like thinking of a creative way to say it. I think it's a I like to use the word full-fledged, but it's not a booking agency. I like to think of it as like a DJ service agency support system.
okay.
What I mean by that is like, I feel like it's, and I mean, maybe you could tell me if I'm wrong, but like,
You're wrong.
I know it's a business, and I know you're gonna explain more, but
Kill all creativity with my answer.
but no, I feel like it's all those things that I was talking about earlier that I like learned to do and like had to do myself and like figure out. It's like an extension of like a support system for DJs, but not now. It started mainly for DJs, but now we've used that same system and same knowledge to like help venues and bookings, and like it's a 360 entertainment agency really, because we realized that like, okay, we're doing all the same work for everyone, so why not just do it for everyone,
Right.
and help everyone. And I think, and I'm sure you can explain it better, but coming from like quote unquote managing DJs, it's like, are you managing DJs or are you providing a service? And I think that's always the disconnect. And I think I think
managing a creative is providing a service. It's just kind of the deal is formed on a percentage base, so it becomes, kind of like you're part of that brand or that business by being their management. But it's not looked at that. It's almost looked at as the talent is part of the management, when it should always have been looked at as the management is part of the talent. And
right.
I think that's what you're kind of saying is like what we're trying to get to, right?
Yeah, and I think even me, like, because we don't understand business as much as like someone that's focused on business. It's like, oh, but why do you get 20% of this, or like why that, or why this? For me, it was, I learned early on, like, and I would always tell you, it's that like I know I don't like doing any of this shit. So like, cool. Like I looked at it as that just because of like me personally. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give you 20% to do this, even if like you don't get me one booking and I get all the bookings, that's fine. Cause like this 20% of the things of the workload that I don't like doing, you're doing. So that like now that frees up time. I was indirectly looking at it as a business. Like, okay, I'm gonna give a cut of 20%, so you handle all that.
You were looking at it as a creative, but forming a business.
Yeah, but
that's what creatives do. I don't want to do this shit. How do I not do this shit? I want to do what I like.
Right. But then the problem is that like, since creatives and creativity and like things that are revolve around that are objective, it's always like that argument of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, am I just super dope and I'm getting bookings, or like, are you working as hard as hell for me to get bookings, or is it both, or is it like,
is your work helping me get bookings?
Yeah, or like, are you worth it? Am I worth it? And it's always like this revolving thing. So I think what helped me realize,
what I think happened is Zea's traumatized the first time he had to ask somebody for a check, and he's like, "Oh my god, I never want to do this."
Yeah,
again.
like literally, it was like it was just so simple to me, because I was like anything else, like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna pay my accountant to like handle that. Or like, oh, I don't know how to work out properly.
Man, that's crazy. That's a good comparison. Like, who does their own taxes?
Yeah, like are you crazy? I'd be there for 18 days, like trying to figure out, and then I do it wrong, and then I have to, or like work. I mean, not in my case, because I've worked out my whole life. But like, you hire a trainer, because like, what the fuck are you gonna do in a gym? You're just gonna like lift the dumbbells and do curls all day, like,
right?
So you hire someone to like just get that all the way, so you focus on getting ripped or getting big. So I just always looked at it as that. But I think, and then it goes back to like the industry is like in a weird space where like we don't have necessarily rules or like a rule book. So it's like, yeah, nah, I don't like that. That doesn't work for me. So it's always that clash of business and creative, business and DJ. And I mean, we have a million clashes early on, me and you. So I think that's why it helped, like, I was able to see all sides all the time, and that's why I thought it would be like a good idea to have my perspective, so it's not so business driven, from the agency Rockwell side, and it's also like getting the perspective of like a DJ or talent, or like, sometimes we have conversations. I'm like, yeah, but I could see why that person thinks that, and like why they would think this is right or wrong, or maybe they think this, or like. Because sometimes you just see it one way, and the same way with me. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, but like, that guy, it's probably because he thought this, and you're like, no, bro, like, look, this equals this MC squared, like this is why. And I'm like, oh yeah, like that makes sense, because dollar signs. So you got to see like both sides. I forgot what the question was, but I think I answered it.
What is Rockwell to you in 2024?
Oh, but yeah. But yeah, that's what it is. It's a full-fledged entertainment agency.
It was a bad question, I think. I set you up for failure, because Rockwell Talent is a booking agency right now. But One Rock Group is everything that you just described. So I apologize for not asking the right question, but you did give the right answer. So it worked out. It was okay.
Yeah, I think we developed a system of like, how do we do what we've always done, but now for everyone and as a business?
For me, I think the biggest, well, let's start then at the inception, right? What was Rockwell Talent to you in 2013?
Oh, it was you getting bookings. That's what it was to me. Oh, I'm sorry. You getting bookings and sending invoices. And sending invoices.
Very important, especially to Zea.
That's what I thought it was for my perspective. Bless you.
Oh, it's like someone fell. Okay, so I think the evolution of your answer with your first answer, right? What was Rockwell? What is Rockwell today, or what is One Rock Group? I would be spot on with I guess agreeing with that perspective. And I think the only thing to add to it is, how DJs always say, like, whether I'm the one that puts them in a box or they feel like they're in a box or whatever this box talk is with DJs that I hear all the time. I think the original Rockwell formula put me in a box, right? Where I had to be just some guy that books DJs or quote unquote, this DJ's manager, right? And I, at first, even before Rockwell, when I was doing that, right? Cool kids, cool people, all this stuff, I still was getting the fix of working with Opium Group and Nightlife or being, Bryan, the VIP director of Heart or, Wharf or whatever. And when it got to the point where luckily and blessing, right? The company got to a point where that's all I was doing. My fulfillment went out the window because then I was just doing this. Same way that I'm sure some DJs feel like I'm just DJing, right? Maybe that's what caused you to want to do more and X, Y, and Z. So I felt like the irony of everything is most of the complaints I got were the DJ was inside of this box, when in reality, because I was so caught up and focused on fixing that person's box issue, I never realized that I couldn't fix that box because I couldn't get out of my box, right? I was just a manager and booked DJs. And then COVID happened and I was like, okay, well, I'm not that now. So what do I want to be? Like, and a lot of the conversations we would have and a lot of you giving me your perspective allowed me to see outside of this fucking box that I was in that I hated, right? Because nowhere in 2006 when I got in Nightlife did I think I'm going to be a booking agent. Like that wasn't it. Like if that was it, I would have figured out a career path to being a booking agent for Wasserman or like one of these bigger agencies and just be the agent, right? So I knew that wasn't my fix, even though that's all I knew. And then COVID happened. It allowed everyone, myself included, to redesign, me, who's Bryan, part of Rockwell first, right? And with that, I think it allowed me to see the venue the same way I used to see the DJ, right? Or see that talent buyer that before was my competition, now as a resource, right? Or that DJ that we would be competing to get gigs is now someone we feature on our Rockwell radio, platform or, etc. So what I think I'm getting at is 2024 One Rock Group, I feel allows us to play politics the right way, the way you said, right? Just be a good person and choose who we want to politic with. So I don't have to work with DJ A because he's a really good DJ and I know I'm going to be able to get them bookings, but now I have to deal with all their personal shit 365 days a year because I'm their quote unquote manager. No, now I'll call you when I have a booking for you. And if I don't have a booking for you, call me to have coffee, but don't call me to bitch because I'm not your manager, right? So it's allowed me now to take less bitching phone calls and make more new client phone calls and show face because I'm not, we didn't do 8 hours of bitching phone calls all day. Now I have 2 hours to go out and politic the right way in the venues I want to show up, not, fuck, I have to go to this place to say hi to this guy. I don't care anymore. It is what it is. Like, don't use me for a service. Don't use us as a company that provides services to make your life easier. That's cool because you're still playing nightlife politics, and I think we're finally playing, real life politics. Would you agree with some of that, or what's your perspective on my one-sided mentality?
Nah, I think like everything else, sometimes you start to do something and it becomes a job, and you're like,
Yes.
how the fuck did I got out of a job and I created an own job that's
I never
even worse.
had a job because I never wanted a job, and now I have a job that I need to hold myself accountable for, and I can't quit.
Yeah, and it's like you quit a job so you don't have a boss, but then you start your own job and then you have 100 bosses that
Right.
are even worse because they're like hitting you up every second, like, yo, what the fuck, complaining, this, that, like you work for me, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, it's an interesting perspective. I never thought of it like that. Like, we're just thinking you do this, so like do it. And then it goes back to the creative, mentality of like, I mean, I'm giving you 20%, bro. So like, that's the only way I could gauge you're doing anything is if I get a booking.
Right.
So it's hard to like have a metric for like, yeah, but you help me brand myself in a certain way and push me and sent like a million emails and like you were bugging this one person, following up every Monday, because like, yeah, I don't see that till 8 months later.
Right.
So 8 months later is like, yeah, bro, but I was DJing.
Right.
So
right.
like, I got it,
and,
you know?
And then they don't even for a second put the dollar amount to the workload, right? I worked 8 months to get 20% of your $800 booking.
Yeah. And
so $160 divided by 8 months, I lost money being alive.
No, and it goes back to the industry because it's like, and it's not even anyone's fault. It's like, that's really, unfortunately, that's not really worth much to some people. Like, yeah, but like I need a booking, like I need to eat, which I understand. Like,
me too.
I used to live like that too. Like, yeah, bro, but like 20% is 20%, bro. Like, and you're talking about $800. I mean, that's a week of groceries for me. So I could understand that perspective, but I think it's like going back to, you gotta like almost look at yourself as a business and figure out like what is it that you want to do and not want to do, so you know where you either fit or you don't fit, and then know like, okay, this is probably makes sense for me, this probably doesn't make sense for me, or like I want to work with that person, I don't want to work with that person,
right,
or whatever the case is. But I think, that's why a lot of relationships don't work out, or business ventures, because like it's not even personal. It's like, bro, I'm like in a whole other mindset, and then like this person's in a whole other mindset, and we don't even know that like you're thinking this and I'm thinking that, and you're going through that, and you're trying to do this and I'm trying to do that, and like of course it's like fucking going in a terrible marriage,
right?
A
terrible marriage that doesn't have dinner together and talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And then if the only way I know the marriage is working is like dollar signs, and like I'm not seeing them consistently. I mean, the perfect marriage, I mean, not perfect marriage, perfect business partnerships, like you just keep making money and it solves everything. You keep winning,
right.
Nothing's wrong. But when you stop winning, or like there's a dry period, you're like, bro, someone's fucking up. But maybe no one's fucking up. It's just that's how it is, right? Then and there in that moment. But yeah, I think that now in 2024, it's like we've realized that, so we're like, okay, like how can we help this person? And it doesn't mean that like we're gonna promise you this or you're gonna be this. It's like, no, like in this situation, in this case, how can we best help you? And it's a mutual understanding of how we're gonna help you, what's gonna be compensated or not compensated, and this is what we're doing going forward. And I think that's like key in any business, like establishing upfront how we're gonna work together, why,
setting expectations,
what we're gonna deliver, and what you should expect. And that way everyone's in a clear understanding, and there's no like, I don't know, man, I don't know if this is worth it, or I don't know what you're doing, I don't know what you're not doing, and just being honest with everyone. That's the key.
I want to, we're going to stick on Rockwell, but I wanted to ask you a DJ question. I want to know, I'm not a DJ, right? For anybody listening, never been a DJ, don't know how to DJ, know a lot about DJs and know a lot of DJs. What is it about the craft that, would you say, let me see how I word this. Would you say that in 2013, if you were a DJ, your goal was to be on an agency, right? You almost couldn't make it on your own. Like you worked to get noticed by a CAA or a Scam, or back then it was an Interlock or a Rockwell, or insert 100 names here, a Rich Group, etc. So as a DJ, you were almost working to get noticed by one of them because you felt like your career was gonna take off once you signed, right? Where now in 2024, I feel like DJs don't feel like they have to have that agency to pop the fuck off, right? Whether that's an influx of social media tools or ways to expose yourself as a brand, or maybe it's just DJs looking at this more as a business and not as I'm the talent, you go get me the business, right? Which I think that was the understanding originally. You want to scout the best talent so that you, as the person selling the talent, have the best product to sell, right? And that made sense. But now I can find the best product, and so can you, and so can anybody in this room, on Instagram. So it's not that important to showcase the best talent. It's more important to service the best talent the best way. So in 2013, I feel like everybody wanted to be managed by an agency or felt like they had to. And in 2024, I feel like people don't feel like they have to be on an agency to succeed, which the reason I bring this up is I think it coincides with what our path was, because now we're offering everything basically a la service, right? A la carte, right? It's a service based. So you, DJ A, I'm sorry for picking on you, might be at a point in your career where all you need is a back end to make sure that your accounting is handled in a professional manner. DJ B might need accounting and also might need an agent role because he's a little more of an introvert and he doesn't want to have those negotiating conversations. They're really uncomfortable. I love them, right? DJ C, oh shit, there is a DJ C, so no. The DJ Y, his mom's an accountant, so he might not need accounting. She does his invoices and his taxes, but his mom doesn't know how to speak to a booker, so he needs just an agent role. So I feel like what we're providing now is, here are all the pieces individual. Where are you at in your career? And what of our pieces can help you get to the next career or point in your career, or can alleviate some of the time so that you can do other shit that isn't just 100% DJing, right? I've had DJs be like, man, I didn't know you guys offered accounting to people that weren't exclusive to your agency. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, I run a insert business here, or my mom owns a store that I help operate during the week. So if I didn't have to send those annoying emails or, wake up super early on Monday to send the invoices out because I have to be at the store to help my mom by 10 a.m. or, X, Y, and Z, bro, this is a no-brainer. What do you guys charge for that service? And now I think we're re-educating or almost recreating this expectation that DJs can count on. As a DJ, what do you, I guess the way I'm asking the question is going to be wrong, but do you feel like if this value was offered in 2013, it would have made sense? And was the game just so different that you helping me with my accounting wouldn't help me get booked in Vegas, right? Like, it doesn't help. But now you might alleviate my time, and I have the understanding that I'm just going to go to Vegas this week because I don't have all the during the day shit to do, right? How does that help or hurt in this current, day and age versus 2013 with, like, if you weren't on Scam or Rich Group, how were you going to get booked?
Yeah, I think the whole landscape is totally different now with just in every industry. But I think in 2013, it was more of like you wanted to belong to something because it was like you're going to be a part of something super dope. And then in turn, that would help you and your brand. And this person's playing here, these people are playing there. Like, if I'm on this, then, eventually I'll get there. Like, they have the connections, which, and back then it was like more relationship based, like we were saying.
Right.
But I think now, currently, like, technically nobody needs anything. Like, you could literally wake up and you could do everything. And like, I think that's also where my mindset shifted of like what we could do with Rockwell, because I was doing that. Like, I was like, okay, I need a flyer for my lineup. It was like when I was 15, but like, I'm going to learn Photoshop so I could do it because I can't afford to pay someone. Okay, check. I need to like record my own video recaps and like photos. Okay, I'm going to buy a GoPro, go on YouTube, check. All right, I'm going to learn how to like do a newsletter blast. So I'm going to go on YouTube and learn how to like use MailChimp and then have my own mailing list and then send one every month. Okay, check. So then like you're basically now in 2024, you can do all of that even easier with technology. So no one really needs an agency for like all this support. But like what you're saying is now it's like, okay, a la carte, like what do I not have time for?
Yeah,
and like, and we're not
part French.
Yeah,
I heard that carte.
A la carte.
Shit.
And I'm not 15 anymore, so I can't go on YouTube for 18 hours a day and learn fucking this, that, and the other. But like, okay, these people are good at that. These people have a background in this when it comes to nightlife and DJing. Like, I just need this so I could focus on this. Or like, there's some people that are super dope at like video editing and graphics, like DJs. So they do that, but they're like not numbers guys like me. So like, I don't handle that. This person handles this. So I think we're in a place where like, and then obviously social media is like, you can pop overnight. So like you don't like, what do you need an agency for? It's come reverse. Like you get the agency after when like you're too busy.
Right.
So then like you need help with this, that, and the other, or you need specific help in this service or the other. But or even you're not pop overnight, but like you work now, you're just working so much. You're working 5 nights a week that, like you said, like you don't have time or the energy, or you're also helping your mom at the store or running another business. So like you literally don't have the time to send an invoice, and like people forget to send invoices all the time, and they're like, oh shit, they owe me like 3 checks, and they're like, yeah, you never sent an invoice, and I'm like, ah, fuck. So I think it's like we're at that point now where technology, the state of DJing, the state of like social media, everything has come to like this crossroads where like what you need is like support and everything, and it goes back to like treating it as a business. So like where are my holes and where can I fill them?
Sure.
With things that like I'm not currently doing or I'm not good at. And I think, you know, in indirectly, that's what we're doing. We're like applying all the shit that we've learned, and like, all right, like here, you need help with this, we got you. Or you need help with that, we got you. Or you don't need that, but you need this, okay, cool. Or you need a photo shoot, okay, boom, go over here, da 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 da. Instead of like a DJ trying to figure out everything all at once. Which now the only thing that the thing that changed the most is that all those things that we provide support for now, like everyone needs it. Where in 2013 it was like you needed more of like a group and like support with like relationships and politics, where now it's like everyone's doing everything because of Instagram and social media. So like you need all the shit. Like if you're not doing this, that, and the other, you're kind of slacking, you're a step behind. Whereas in 2013 it was like who cares?
Right.
You could have one video for the year, and
it was on your Facebook.
Yeah, it was on your Facebook, YouTube, and that was it. And like a solid EPK and whatever. But now you need like everything and anything all the time.
All the time. Not
just like one. So,
and I think consistency is key in the career path, right? So you might be dope and you might kill it for 3 weeks and kill yourself because you're working all night as a DJ, working all day as the brand, and then you know you go 2 months without seeing anything on that guy's page again, and you're like, bro, what happened? Did he quit? It's like, nah, bro, I'm exhausted. Like I just can't work 7 days a week, day and night.
Yeah.
And I think that's where our value comes in. And I got a. Speaking on the service, and I want a DJ answer on it. So use your DJ hat. What are some of the advantages that having a person, let's call that person your agent or an agent, what are some advantages of having an agent handle your booking for you, right? I'm a DJ, which I'm not, and I have this opportunity in front of me. If I handle it myself, it'll go this way. If someone else that knows what they're doing handles it for me, it'll go this way. How are those ways different? And what are the advantages that agent provides that DJ, whether it's directly or indirectly?
I think every case is different. Like every DJ could be an advantage or a disadvantage, to be honest. Like I think it goes back to understanding who you are and like your business. So like for some people, for sure, they're more introverted and like they don't know how to have those conversations. So they might like either just quote unquote fumble the bag or like just agree to anything or not set expectations or whatever the case is. So like they need that middleman. But there's some people, and I think, and for me, like I think I could handle my own bookings very well, but the problem is I don't have time. So then like what's the point if I'm a great negotiator but like I can't ever answer the email?
Right. Yeah, you get back to them 7 days later, then you suck.
So like it doesn't even matter. So it's like that's my perspective. Like I don't have the time, so it doesn't matter how good I am or how like well I can navigate that. It's like I need someone that's always there, front and center. But so to your point, I think it's a massive value if that's what you need in your career. But like I said, there's other people that like their strength is relationships. So like they already have those solidified. So it's like they'll handle that. But then like I'm not gonna send an invoice. So like after I handle it, you come in. I'll connect you so you can send the invoice or advance the show or like book the wedding and the logistics and like all that. Deal with the bride. But like sometimes the DJ is like that perfect middleman or the perfect first person they interact with. But in most of the cases, it's not.
So I'll push back on that a little bit, only because I actually want to dig into this, right? It's a topic that there's not a lot of material out there on, right? Like, how does an agent help you versus how can you help yourself, X, Y, and Z. And I do agree. It depends on the situation, the amount of value. But I think every situation has somewhat of a value, and I'll unpack that. To me, being someone that books talent, right, representing numerous venues. So me looking at it on the venue side, it doesn't sit well, or I mean, it's not like it sits in my stomach. I don't give a fuck. When I read an email or a text, it doesn't read well when someone sells themselves, right, to me. So even if you do it in the right way, I think you're always going to either oversell yourself and it looks like shit, or you're going to undersell yourself because you don't want to come off, pushy or cocky. So in a situation where someone hits me up and they say, hey, I'm not an introvert. I'm a DJ that likes to talk to people. I'm a relationships guy. I love, your venue. How do I play there? What do I got to do to get in, right? You build that initial relationship. And then when the booker replies back and says, hey, you know what? Let's try that out. Well, what's your upcoming availability and what's your rate? I think at that point, if you pass that conversation on and not pass the client on, but on the other side, connect the client, right? Where it's not like hit up my agent. Bro, that's 15 years ago. Nobody likes that shit. But if you say, hey, awesome. I love your venue, like I said, and I definitely want to work with you. Let me loop in my agent, which I pay to handle this side of my business. And he's the one that actually knows when I'm available better than I do because he talks to all my clients. So I'm in, like I'm down, but let me connect you. And now the agent can come in and sell you so that your worth and value goes up a little bit, right? Because if you don't have anyone to introduce, the answer is, my rate is 600. And then you're hoping they pay it or not. But me, as a booker or as an agent, I've probably worked with that booker or venue before, so I already know what their top dollar is, and you don't, right? Or B, I'm going to have a business conversation with this guy to determine what is that right number to start at, where a DJ having that conversation, you might come off a little, why is this guy asking me these questions? Or I thought we were friends and you wanted to play here. Now, why are you selling on why I have to pay you more, right? Like, was the conversation you wanted to play here because you wanted to, or was the conversation you wanted to get, top dollar from me as an extra booking? So I feel like an agent can have the uncomfortable business conversations while the DJ can still be the homie and even like I've had scenarios where the DJ speaks to, it was back in the day, it was a lot more common in private events, right? Because your sister's friend is, saw you grow up and she's having a birthday at her house and she doesn't understand why you can't go for $300 with all your equipment and play some music for her friends, right? And if you explain that to her, you're an asshole, right? But if I explain that to her and then she hits you up and says, hey, Zea, your agent's asking for $2,000. What the fuck? And you say, oh, really? Yeah, that's actually my rate. Let me talk to him and see if he could bring it down a little bit, but I'm on contract, so, they decide my price, and I'm not authorized to lower that price. So, but let me talk to him. Let me see if I can get a little, discount there for you or whatever. Now you're like doing them a favor, and then she might agree to $1,500, where if she had 300 before, it was 300, and if not, like, you're a dick, and now she sees you as less, right? So if we were to move that from a private event to a venue, I can see that same thing, right? Like, you do have the relationship with the guy. That's why the guy thinks you're, great friends. So why are you taxing him, right? But it's not taxing him if someone is explaining why that's your value, right? So if 1,500 is a good amount because it was a 2K booking and we're giving a discount, that's different than telling someone I want 1,500 for your $500 booking as a DJ, right? Like, yeah, cool, 500. No, you got to pay me 1,500 or I won't do it. Like, it just comes off very wrong being on the DJs talking to me to get booked side, right? Same thing when it comes to budgets. They don't know the budget of the room. Hey, my rate's $3,000. Cool, bro. We have $800. You want to do it or not? Oh, you're an asshole, bro. You're not paying me my rate. My brother, I don't own the venue. I have a budget to work with, you know? So maybe not understanding that either, where an agent will. And instead of the DJ saying, oh, what the fuck, bro? That sucks. Now I'm like, okay, cool, you suck. And now we're not talking anymore. The agent can say, hey, that's pretty low to what he's like currently getting. Maybe we can work out like a booking once a month for the next 3 months and we could agree to that rate. You know, like give me consistency to make up for the dollar amount, right? You got to give me something, whether it's frequency or a bag, but it can't be no bag and no frequency because now there's no business there. And I'm just going to be chasing the next gig and the next gig from you. Would you agree, looking at it as a DJ, that having someone representing you, again, that knows what they're doing, right? Because your brother's boy that now is just calling himself a manager, he's probably going to have a worse conversation than you would because you understand the industry better. But someone that understands how to have the conversation and the people that he is speaking with, is there value in that every time? Like I can't think of a scenario where there is no value. Even in a scenario where it's like, yo, I don't want to deal with your agent. I want to deal with you directly. Okay, great. Give me the information. Perfect. Let me send it to my agent. I'll CC you. Agent's going to reply. I'm going to be involved in the process. I'm not just passing you on, but it's not like the answers are now coming from my brain. It's coming from someone else's brain, and I'm helping facilitate this arrangement. Is there any
I think it's
accuracy to that?
I think it's knowing when to connect and how to connect. It's not so much of every time you got to connect them or at this point in the conversation or like before it gets to money. I think sometimes you do negotiate the whole money because of that relationship you have. And then you're like, hey, now this person's going to send the invoice because they're going to like.
Because I don't do that in my career.
Yeah, and they're gonna make sure the booking goes through, and then confirm all the times and this and yada yada yada. But then there's some times where it's like it makes more sense to in the beginning of the process loop in an agent to be like, hey, you know, here's Bryan, and he's gonna discuss the rates, blah blah blah. I don't do that shit, whatever. So it's always case by case, and that's what I mean. That like sometimes it's a benefit, but you have to know when to use it, how to use it, and at what juncture to like make that connection. And then there's some times where I think it's very rare because I think there's always an added value, even if it's not an agent, but having a middle person, but that knows what they're doing,
right?
Like you said, to just make that that deal. Because I mean, like that could be applied to everything. Like you as an artist, like you could have these paintings that like Adrian has here and say, yeah, man, it's five, even more with art, like, yeah, it's $5,000. Damn, but you're like the homie. Like I just saw you scribble that real quick in 30 minutes. Like, all right, yeah, let me connect you with my agent. He handles all the pricing for the art and the gallery. He'll let you know how to do it. But I told him that you're the homie, so he's gonna take care of you.
There you go.
You know, then like it worked. That scenario applies to everything. It's just knowing when and how. But I think having an agent or a manager or someone that like can help you with that part of the deal. And also, like, knowing, like, yo, like, having that understanding, which goes back to what we're saying. Yo, like, you know, you're going to represent me. Make sure this, that, and the other. Like, this is my rate. I don't want to go lower than this.
Right.
Don't ever mention this. Make sure you tell them this coming from me. Make sure, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you include EPK or don't ever include this or whatever. Like,
yeah, you set your rules.
I never play on CDJs or turntables, whatever. But, like, having that conversation till like everyone's on the same page, and it's like you said, it's like a second brain, but like we're all connected. So yeah, I think there's value in it. Just knowing how to use it is the key. I was gonna try to make an analogy.
Shit,
I don't know.
Nobody here knows anything about golf. Great, awesome, man. Well, I've picked your brain for my own selfish needs so far. And before we wrap things up, I guess then I'll reciprocate that and see if there's anything you want to ask or, you know, pick at my brain per se, or if you feel there's anything we haven't covered to give justice as far as Rockwell, the business of the day.
Nah, I'm good, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I'll ask you, how do you feel?
Don't kick your little crocs.
you've kind of navigated the business of Rockwell, and now kind of having a different perspective, and like having me as a partner and like other employees and other team members, like seeing things differently, not as like, okay, I'm just doing bookings and business, like numbers.
Sure.
Like, how have you kind of been able to like, all right, there's like a little more understanding I had to have, or not, or, you know, navigating that?
It's an interesting question, and I think it ties into why I'm doing this in the first place. I got started in nightlife in 2005. I didn't know any DJs. You know, all my friends were just party goers, or promoters. And what I got fascinated to, or what I guess I got hooked to, was, like you said, growing things, but in an environment that was like the Wild Wild West, right? It was very street vibes, right? Like, and with your friends. So I could still, you know, vividly remember, 4 or 5 promoters getting together at a house to plan out an event. And like, you know, my dick would hit the bottom of the table, bro. You know, it'd be like, this is so exciting. This is interesting. Like 5 people with a common goal sitting at one table, throwing out a bunch of ideas and working towards creating this plan or proposal most of the time, right? To get the event approved by the venue. And that was my fix, right? Back then I was a heavy cigarette smoker, like probably everybody else in Miami. It was like, 2 packs of Newports. Everybody brought beer. We were, write things on whiteboards and papers. And then the next day we would wake up and be like, fuck, we got to put all these ideas together. And then I was normally the guy of like, all right, let me organize the ideas, right? And that was my first little fix into, I guess, project management, right? So when we look at that into the inception of Rockwell, I was and I think it was lack of knowing, right? Lack of knowledge, lack of experience, lack of education in the industry of DJs, not nightlife. It was me and 4 DJs, my 4 friends. So we were 5 friends in a room working on something. But I was the business, and then there was 4 DJs. So naturally, the more business came in, or the more work came in, more fell on the one dude, where the other 4 were playing music and asking the one dude, what are you doing, right? So I think what One Rock Group, right, or this new light has been given me that is like, fucking strapped on, give me the fix. It's that it went from 4 DJs and me being the team to me and 4 staff members. And the DJs are almost like the club in the 9-iron. Like, it's no longer what I have fun dealing with. Because at the end of the day, if I'm strictly focusing on business and you're strictly focusing on DJ music shit, and I don't know anything about DJ music shit, where's the common ground? Like, how are we going to stay, really good friends if all we're doing is business and DJ and colliding, right? Some of my good friends to today are just DJs that either A, don't DJ anymore, or B, don't work with us as much, right? Like, Paul's gonna be my homie for life. That's my dog. And we're closer now because we don't have to have the drunk arguments on why fucking this and that is happening, or X, Y, and Z, right? So I feel like I've always been business driven, and I'm the type that if I don't think something's right, I'm going to tell you. And sometimes creatives don't like hearing that because they're seeing it in a way where it is right to them. And so there's that clash. But now if I'm in a room with 4 staff members or partners or like-minded business entities, well, then even when we clash, I think we both have the same set of rules or expectations or understanding, right? Julian, our office manager, God bless him. You guys he's the talent. He's Rockwell talent, right? Like, the DJ's no longer the talent. It's the clients tell us all the time, I don't care who you book. Dealing with you guys is so easy, right? Like, before I used to have to ask DJs for their availabilities, line them all up, see how it would fall on a calendar. I would always have one day where 3 guys can play and one day where nobody can play. What do I do? How do I scout new talent? And now we come in and we're like, here's the finished calendar. You want to approve it? That looks great. Approved. Done. Here's a link. Here's all the flyers. Done. By the way, here's all your Eventbrite links. Done. And the guys that's sitting there like, holy shit, I have so much time for all these activities now, you know? Like, and by default, I've heard from venues, our service allows them to operate better because it's same thing that if we take accounting off of a DJ's plate, they can do more. We're taking the DJ shit off of their plate. So the staff is being managed better. The vendors are being, you know, the relationships are being built more. The guests are getting more hands-on experience because they're not worried if the DJ got their water bottle or not, right? Like everything is systematically put in a place to allow the other side of the table, whether it's a DJ, a business, or whatever, a value. There's a value exchange. It's no longer a booking exchange. So I don't remember the exact wording of the question, but I think the root of the question is, you know, my team changed or my mentality of what the team is has changed. And I feel like it allows me to grow again. Where before, the more we grew, the more weight I had on my head. Where now, the more we grow, I have a good foundation around me where the weight can be distributed and the building actually goes up from this weight. It doesn't get heavier, you know? Let me know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's crazy because like in business, that's what you want, like a rock star team, a rock star, like talented staff, talented people that like work hard. But like we're in an industry where it's like now you need to be a dope entertainer, a dope creative, a dope DJ, and like that's the business. But like it took a while to like take off that lens and be like, nah, the business is like being a business. Right. We're like the only industry where it's like almost nobody cares about that. But it's like every other place is like, yeah, you want like the best. Like people, there's people that have a job to get other people jobs. Like like they recruit the best people in the nation to come work at a company because that company wants to be the best. But like in nightlife and DJing, it's like now who's the dopest DJ, bro? Let's book them, and then like let's just book them as much as we can, and then more of them, and then like forget about like who's handling all that or like the business of it. It's just like that guy's good and get him in there.
Right.
But it's like, what about like all the other shit? So I think that's...
And the consistency of it. You might get him in here, dope. Fridays are straight. What's your Saturday look like? You know, what does next week look like? By the way, he's going out of town 2 weeks from now. Who's going to cover? You know, and it's all these added weights that a general... I think something else that really changed the industry for the better in our world, for the worse, I guess, in nightclubs, is that income line started coming down, right? Nightclubs were making boo-goo bucks, and over time, it's progressively gone down. I can't speak from facts because I don't see P&Ls, but I can tell you more and more nightclubs are closing, right? And if they were making money, they wouldn't be closing. Do you remember when there was an actual, like, talent buyer for the venue? Like, not a talent buyer that books talent for the venues. No, like, you know, Tony, he does the talent buying at Club A. You know what I mean? Every club had that guy, right? Opium Group had DeVell and Christie. Liv had JoJo. Like this went down, or I think it was Biz Martinez at first. I don't even remember. There's a junior question, but every venue had one. Getting closer to COVID, less and less venues had one. And post-COVID, no talent buyers were brought back because if you're looking at your business, you're like, okay, the general manager runs the entire place. Can't cut him. The floor manager deals with all our operations. Can't cut him. Our VIP director deals with all our clients. Can't cut him. Our talent buyer? Nah, fuck that. The GM's going to start booking the talent. And that's the first guy to get scratched off, right? So I think it was a timing and a luck thing on our side kind of pivoting this way because we can fill that void and even more voids, right? Without a yearly salary that I would need to live off of. Right? That talent buyer is only working at that venue. So he needs to like make six figures to live well, especially in Miami these days, shit, maybe more than that. Where we can take the account for a lot less because we're servicing multiple accounts. And on top of that, it actually works in an advantage because since we're booking DJ A 12 times already, we get a good rate and we have first priority to book them because they're not going to turn down 13 bookings, but they would turn down your one booking if it didn't fit their schedule. You see, so I feel like the industry pivoted in the right time where talent buyers kind of got erased unless you're like an 11 or an Liv still, right? Like You need the talent buyer there because you're booking top talent 3-4 times a week. But in all the other venues, they disappeared. So if Rockwell or One Rock Group can come in and replace a talent buyer salary, let's put $90K on that. They can replace the designer's, budget. Let's put $52K on that. They can replace the A&R guy, the guy that's there, advancing the show and the XYZ. Let's call that another 52 grand a year that you're paying for one thing, getting the talent booked and getting the flyers for the event done. Where now you can hire something like One Rock Group and pay significantly less, right? Depending on the place and the whatever. And we're doing 4 people's job. I think that's where the industry is turning, where the bookkeeper for the company is no longer just doing the books. The bookkeeper is also now the HR girl, right? Where before you would have an HR director and a bookkeeper. And, same thing. The general manager is no longer only dealing with the operations. Now they're probably also involved in the marketing of the venue. And they're giving input on how do we actually get people here. That was never the GM's role back in the day. It was the marketing role. You get all the people here, we'll make sure it's a good time and they come back. Now it's the same person that needs to get them there and make sure they come back. So as the industry continues to cut and I guess get smarter as a business, right? Because as a business, you always want to find ways to save money and make more without, tarnishing the operation or the standard of the place. I feel like this offers great opportunity for all agencies to figure out how to be a business for the venue, not for the talent. Would you agree with some of that? And do you think there is a lack of talent buyers nowadays, and that's why this is something that has become a thing, or are we kind of just force feeding it in for it to be a thing, and then people can see the value of it?
I don't know about the talent buying situation, if there is or there isn't in places, but I think it's just where like the world is going in general. Like businesses are getting smarter and more streamlined, and they're like, why are we going to pay one person a salary when we can hire an agency to do the one thing that we need or the 3 things that we need? Where like a lot of people are productizing their service, whether it's booking DJs or consulting with this or graphic design this or that. It's like, you don't really, especially with technology, you don't need like a person in an office doing flyers all day,
right,
and paying $80K a year. You need a reliable like system. And also like a lot of these companies like ourselves, or even marketing agencies, design agencies, it's like they have a whole team. So like, you're going to pay one person X amount, or you're going to pay a team of like 5 significantly less and execute more. So I think that's where just the world is going. And like business, like you said, people are getting smarter and realizing like, yo, we could do things a different way, and actually it provides more value. So yeah, I think there's a lot of that just in general in the world.
Sweet. So I think we'll take that. We'll wrap it up. I'm sure. Is there anything else you wanted to ask before I just fucking cut you off?
Nah, bro. I got a hard out at 4 p.m., bro. I got a meeting.
Yeah. I got a call in 20 minutes. All right, cool, man. Well, then I'm sure we're going to be talking about Rockwell on this podcast throughout the journey of it. I want to thank you for your time before that big meeting you have being here. I'm the one with the fucking big meeting that I need to get the fuck out of here. So I do want to thank you for your time and your insight, but more importantly, your dedication and commitment to Rockwell, and even before Rockwell, I think your dedication and commitment to me, because you've been involved in the equation way before Rockwell, right? Rockwell started in 2013, and I think you and I really started working together around 2008, 2009, even though we met a couple years before that. So it's something I do value a lot, not just in Rockwell and the business, but in my own life, right? Because you are the creative that I value your perspective. You might tell me something I don't want to hear, and I'll listen. Where if someone else tells me something I don't want to hear, selfishly, I might just automatically defend why they're wrong. But with you, I've been wrong so many times that I just, maybe he's fucking right. And I take that step back and I say, is this fucking guy right this time, right? And then when you're not, don't worry, I fucking let you know. But when you are, you save me maybe, some time wasted, or a relationship that I would have fucked up if I would have, gone balls to the wall like I sometimes do, or damn, I never looked at it that way. He's right. Like shit, I'm a dick, or vice versa. Hey Zea, am I being a dick? And you're like, no, you're not, man. Like what you're saying makes sense. So I value the shit out of your input when it comes to the DJ game, but more so just overall as a creative. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your partnership now with Rockwell. And I think it's going to be extremely exciting being 50 years old and and talking shit with you
Man,
about the way.
Hopefully we still have a podcast at 50
Yeah,
years old.
yeah. We might do it live. If not, we're gonna do it on a boat somewhere. That's for damn sure. So, yeah, man. Business After Dark, La Cultura Media House, beautiful place. Lucky to be here, and tune in for the next business.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.